Hi there, how are you? Pastor Sue here. I hope you are doing well. Last week I mentioned to you about the nice weather outside, about the snow melting away, and all that sort of stuff. And guess what? Canada being Canada, we got some snow this past week, and it's even a little bit chilly outside today, although it's beautiful again. So we got a little bit of snow, some inches there, but it's already melting away. I know for you Canadians it's not a big deal, but for us it's a big deal. So I'm glad that summer is just around the corner again. Now, the other thing I want to mention to you is that we're still on lockdown, so another week at home, and those are being especially harsh for a lot of people all over the world. Although I want to remind you that how blessed we are, right? We live in a good country. Today, I got my first shot of the AstraZeneca vaccine, and I will get my second shot in August. So I'm very excited about that too, because I know I get to be vaccinated, and I know many of you already are vaccinated, and I know the other ones will soon get vaccinated. So hopefully, really soon, we will get back to normal again. Of course, when I say normal, it's within quotation marks, because I don't think we will ever get normal again. This pandemic, it's gonna change some of the habits that we had. Before, nobody would feel guilty if they got a cold and we would go to church, for example. And now I guess it will be frowned upon, like if you go, or if you have a cold and you're sneezing in a bus or something like that. So things will change, but hopefully they will change for good. So it's indeed a privilege that I took my first shot, and it reminds me about the people back in my home country. Brazil is losing around 4,000 people every day. A lot of people are getting vaccinated, but they definitely do not have vaccines for all the people there. It's almost 200 million people, so it's a lot of people to get vaccinated. So keep my countrymen and women in prayers, and let's keep our good Canada in prayers as well. All right, so it's sad, but I guess there's nothing we can do besides pray. Let's read from the Word of God today. It comes from the Gospel of John. It comes from chapter 10, and we're going to be reading from verses 11 through 18. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand, who is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and runs away, and the wolf snatches them and scatters them. The hired hand runs away because a hired hand does not care for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that do not belong to this fold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice. So there will be one flock, one shepherd. For this reason the Father loves me, because I lay down my life in order to take it up again. And basically he's saying here, I can conquer death. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it up again. Again, he's saying he can conquer death. I have received this command from my Father. Praise be to God for his words. My friends, it is a known fact that here in North America, Canada including, less and less people are attending church these days. Some people, they say they no longer believe in God. The majority, though, They still say they believe, yet they won't come to church. The question I want to raise up today is this one. Is church really necessary for the Christian life? Based on our empty pews every week, I know that a lot of people don't see church as necessary, even in our neighborhood. So I want to explore this question with you today. And at the same time, we're going to be talking about shepherds and sheep. Centuries before paper, people would write using tablets of clay. So they would not, paper did not exist. The technology to make paper did not exist. So people would use clay tablets to write down things down. And when you study these ancient, very ancient tablets, one word that shows up a lot is the word sheep or the word goat. This is just to say that sheep in the ancient world, it was a very big deal. The work of pasturing sheep, it was a very big deal back in ancient times. If you think about the word shepherd or pastor, a shepherd is someone that directs, that guides, that steers. So in that sense, I'm your pastor because I'm steering you at the right direction, which is God's direction. And a pastor would do the same thing for a flock of sheep back in the day. Although it seems like as an easy job, and could be an easy job today for sure, back in the day it wasn't that easy because part of the job would have you fighting wild animals to protect the sheep. So, and that animal could be anything. Could be a bear, could be a lion, a mountain lion, could be a pack of wolves, could be a coyote, all sorts of wild animals. So it's the sort of job that you cannot sleep, you would have to be attentive. You'd be the type of job that's like 24/7. It's even worse than those jobs in big corporations that they only close at Thanksgiving and Christmas. In this type of job, you would have to work 24/7. So you either had like this big family that could help you, or you would rely on other people to help you. So you would have to have what's called here in this text, a hired hand. Now Jesus is contrasting and comparing. We even have a saying, I believe it goes like something like, it's the eyes of the owner that fattens the cattle or the horse or the pig, I don't know. But the idea behind is that because it's a 24/7 job, a flock that would be under the care of the owner would be better off than a flock that would be under the care of a hired hand. Why is that? Because in a case of a wild animal coming in, you would have to fight this animal. And keep in mind, the appeal for all sorts of animals to attack a flock, it was great because first, I believe for a lion to see a flock of sheep, it's like us looking at a all-you-can-eat buffet. You know, you just go crazy around it, right? But the second thing is, sheep, because they were domesticated like 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 years ago, they didn't have any sorts of defense against any predator. So in that being, it will be a easy kill for most of the wild animals. So of course they would try to snatch a sheep here and there. Now, why is this such nice passage for us to study? Because the Lord is being very nice to us here. Okay, He's saying first, a hired hand does not care, but He does. Even more, He's saying a good shepherd puts the sheep before himself, sacrifices himself if necessary, and that he, Jesus, is that kind of shepherd. He's willing to do that. Not only he puts us, the sheep, before him, but that he's also willing to sacrifice his life for us. And we all know that that's true, because he did do what he said. More yet, he said that if a wolf wants to ravage and scatter any of us, even at the cost of his own life, like we saw before, he still willingly and out of his free will try to stop that. Not because he's getting paid by some big boss somewhere, but out of his free will, he will protect us. So that's kind of nice. And when you read this passage in Greek, what I like, it's because you can see a little bit deeper when you look at the original words. I'll give you an example. What I liked here is that the word that Jesus used for life is not the words that you see elsewhere in the Bible. For example, a very famous Greek word for life, it's bio. That's where we get biology from. The science, the study of living beings. So that's what biology is. So bio, life. But he's not using bio here. He's also not using Zoe, which we get that name. You know, some girls have that name, Zoe. Or we get the words like zoo or zoology. That means life too. And he's not using this word. He's using a different word. The word in this case is suke. And suke means a life-soul type of life. So Jesus is saying that the good shepherd, like him, he's willing to give much more than his natural or his biological life for us. But that the life he's willing to give, it's that life-soul. It's a commitment of life-soul and not only life. The other striking thing about this passage is that he said, listen, I know my own, and my own knows me. You possibly already heard stories of people when they go to Jerusalem, or if they go to the Middle East where there's a lot of sheep. I don't know how popular sheep is in Canada, to be honest with you. Maybe somewhere. But I heard that when you see a flock of sheep and you try to call the sheep, or distract them, I mean, they just ignore you. It's like that you don't even exist. They keep eating the grass and that's it. Now, when the shepherd calls them, oh boy, they all stop what they're doing to follow the shepherd's voice. So Jesus is making this analogy here. He's saying that he knows who we are, and we know him too, and we listen to his call. Let me repeat that to you. He, Jesus, is saying that he knows who we are, and we know him too, and we listen to his call. So, few questions there for us, all right? We listen to his calls. We listen to his call. Well, Pastor Sue, how do I know if I am one of Jesus' sheep? Well, let me tell you. Because it's here in John chapter 10. Some are in verses that we didn't read today, but I'll bring that up on the screen for you as well. The first one is, do you listen to him? That's in verses 16 and verse 3. Do you listen to him? The other one is, do you follow him? That's in verses 4 and 5. And the other one is, do you know him? That's in verse 14. So, do you listen to him? Do you follow him? Do you know him? So that's three words that we need to answer just to see if we are indeed or not one of Jesus' sheep. And I know you are. And that's why when I hear people saying, oh well, I am a Christian, I believe in God, but I don't like religious organizations, or I don't like church, I find that to be nonsense. I find that to be rubbish, I would say. Because first, let's think about that. If you do not go to church, where will you listen to Jesus? Oh well, I can go to YouTube and find a better preacher than you, Pastor Sue. And of course that's true. That's absolutely true. But church should be much more than a person preaching on a Sunday. Church is about community. It's about other people. It's about you giving a bit of yourself to God. Church is much more than all that. So, can you be a Christian without coming to church? Can you listen to the Word of God without coming to church? Yes, you can listen. But here, you get to listen every Sunday. Even if the church is closed, you still get to listen. The second thing you wanted to think about it is, if you're not coming to church, how exactly are you following him? Are you following Jesus on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram? Because I'm sure if you're only following Jesus on those platforms, it's not Jesus that's there, okay? It's somebody else. It's a fake profile. Is that how they call it? Fake profile? I don't know. But how are you going to follow Jesus if you do not come to church? And the third thing you want to consider is that if you do not go to church, how you will get to know him. And brothers and sisters, that's where Greek comes handy once again. Because I know you can say, well, I know my neighbor. I know you can say, well, I know the Prime Minister of Canada. But this word that he's using right here to say that he knows, it's the same word that, for example, his mother Mary used when the angel came and told her, listen, you're going to have a child. And she answered to him, how come I will have a child if I do not know any man? So that's the know. That's the word know he's using right there. That word, it's more than I know my neighbor. That word that he used there, it relates to intimacy. I know a lot of people translate that part of the Bible by Mary saying, I'm a virgin. But what she's really saying is like, I don't have intimacy with a man. How come I will have a child? So, if you don't come to church, how will you get to know Jesus? How are you going to get some intimacy? It's a challenge, isn't it? Because intimacy, it's supposed to be a loving kind of relationship. And how are you going to develop that loving sort of relationship? By being far away. Have you ever been in a long distance relationship? We know how that goes, right? It usually does not work. So how can you expect to know Jesus if you do not come to church? I remember when I met my wife, I wanted to have intimacy with her. I want to know her. That type of know better. And one way for me to get intimate to my wife, it's by learning all her likes and her dislikes. So I ask her a lot of questions of the things he liked and the things he dislikes. And that's when church comes handy to us, because in church we can learn very, very well what are Jesus's likes and dislikes. So you need to be, but that's too easy. It's just stay away from sin. Yes, but it goes further. We have some nice discussions here. We get deeper in the Word of God than just saying to people, okay, avoid sinning, goodbye now. It's more than that. So what a better place, if not church, where we are constantly looking at it and discussing Jesus' likes and dislikes. That's how you get to know the Lord. And the last part that we cannot ignore is that, okay, I know my own knows me, and they listen to my call. They listen to my call. So Jesus has a call for us. And he tells what the call is right here on verse 16. Take a look. I have other sheep that do not belong to this fold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice. So there will be one flock and one shepherd. Basically, he's saying here, outside this flock, there's more sheep. But this other sheep must join us here. So there will be all one flock with one shepherd. So who is the other sheep? Well, of course, in this context, Jesus is talking about the Gentile sheep, the non-Jewish sheep, which, by the way, he's also willing to die for. Again, true. But in our context here, we can assume that the others is the ones outside our church doors and maybe outside of our circles. Listen, just a parenthesis here, because I think it's important. This is not a call for ecclesiastical unity, although it's not a bad idea, because we can be a different fold under the same shepherd. But the idea here, at least the way I see it, is that we can be different folds, but what will unite us is this close proximity and the ability to listen to Jesus' calls. So the unifying factor in this case is the shepherd. It doesn't mean we have to be all under one roof, but it means that as long as we listen to his call, we can all belong to the same flock. So back to the others here. Back to the others, because that's where, when we get in, the others, it's our mission. So to end this online encounter today, let me tell you a few words. Because today it's Mission Awareness Day. And that said, I want you to be aware that every Christian has a mission, and therefore it's a potential missionary, even in his own lands. When Jesus gave us the Great Commission, he tells, listen, you go to the end of the earth, that's fine. You go to other nations, that's fine. But first, you are called to tell the people the good news here in Jerusalem and in Samaria. So listen how important this is. That means that we are called to be missionaries. Yes, overseas, why not, one day. But we are also called to be missionaries in our own lands. And that means Madoc, it means Tweed, it means elsewhere around us. Now, do you know how a restaurant gets famous? It gets famous by something called the word of mouth. That's the best gift a business owner can receive from a customer, because that's how other people will get to come and check it out, his business. And hopefully, if he keep doing such a good job like he did for that person, he will bring more and more people every time. And church is no different. Church is no different. So somehow we must get that word out there. Listen, I do not know the people in Medoc. I cannot even go outside and get to know the people. But you do. You do. And now you have a minister, and I'm not terrible. You could invite people to come and check us out, because I promise you, I will treat them very well, and I'm sure you will do the same. So I hope when people come to you and say, you know what, my marriage is falling apart, you must say to that person, then you gotta come to my church. And if people tells you, my life have no purpose anymore, you say, hey, yes it does, you have to come to my church, and we will find out what that purpose is for you. I hope when people tells you, I feel so alone, you tell that person, come to my church. We'll take care of you. We will not leave you alone. I hope when people says, I really need a miracle right now, you tell that person, come to my church. Of course, not because of Pastor Seal, but because in this church, you will find the type of God that's willing to fight for you, that's willing to, even facing the wolf's mouth and his claws, Jesus can rescue you and all of us. This is why we must get the word of mouth out there. And of course, I cannot do that by myself. I cannot even go outside, as I said before. But we all can do that together. What do you think? Are you up for this challenge? I really hope you are. Let's get the word out there that we are here, that we want to help, that we want to be Jesus's face for people that's looking for purpose, for a new life, for anything. Honestly, we have such a great God, and it's our job to let other people know about Him. So that's my message for you today. My brother, my sister, God bless you. I hope you have a great week. And next week, we will meet once again online. Bye-bye.